Hi, I'm Ann Brady, and I want to talk to you about my book, A New Beginning, the story of my adoption, life, and service, illustrated by Eric C. Brady. I want to discuss the fact that my book is about my life, but I also write about when I started searching for my birth mother, the pitfalls that you may encounter. Uh, I discuss also what happens sometimes when a person who is put up for adoption ends up never being adopted and never having a family, just going back and forth like my brother did. My brother Bob ended up going back and forth between an orphanage and the foster family until he aged out of the system. He never felt like he belonged. He never felt like he was loved. The first foster family he was in, they gave him up when he was 9 or 10 years old, and he wasn't told he was going to an orphanage. He told he was going to a new school. They just dumped him, and he thought his name was the same as the foster family, which was the last name was Stewart, and he didn't know that that wasn't his family. He was just abandoned. And there comes a lot of baggage, emotional, that may never cure itself because you feel betrayed, lied to, and you feel that no one cares about you or how you feel. No one asks you how you feel. They just make decisions for you, and then all of a sudden, you're not prepared when you finally age out of the system to find a job or to know where you're going to go, especially when foster families, each one was different. Some would let them go to school, some wouldn't let them go to school. Others wouldn't let them read, some wouldn't let them read the Bible. There was all kinds of problems. And I didn't have problems that much because I was adopted when I was 4. I lived with my family for a short time before I was adopted. When I finally searched for my birth mother, I found out that I found out about my birth brother, which I didn't know I had. He was 4 years older than me. Uh, she gave both of us up for adoption. My mother did try to get me back at 3, and that's per my adoption file, which when I requested it, I was given by court order my original birth certificate and my original social work chart, along with my brother's. And I found out who my birth mother was. There was no birth father listed on my original birth certificate. I found out what my original birth name was. Uh, I found out some things about my birth family. I decided to search for my birth brother. Uh, I decided because Robert Pierce, which is my brother's name, was such a common name that I would look only in Massachusetts. And someone gave me a name and a date and a phone number, and I called the person, found out it wasn't my brother, but it was a cousin. And with that, I found my uncle, my mother's only brother, who didn't even know she had died. And that also creates problems. But what amazed me was when I talked to my cousin, whose name was also Robert Pierce, he told me, "We know all about you." And I was amazed that they knew anything about me. And my uncle had told them about both of us, I assume, and My uncle was into genealogy, as I am. I wanted to find out what ethnicities I had. Also, I eventually had the DNA like my youngest son did through Ancestry.com. And I was hoping that I would find relatives that would help me find my birth family and eventually my birth father so that I knew who he was. According to the social work chart, my birth father was a John H. I finally found out that she told the social workers my father's name was John Houlihan. She gave him a wonderful description. He was single, he lived with his poor widowed mother, and he drove a bakery delivery truck. She described his features. Turns out my mother was a wonderful storyteller. She lied to him. My birth father was Charles Dowd, not John Houlihan. I found out I had more siblings, and I've connected with some of them, and it's part of searching is not so much what you find out at the end, though that helps answer questions, but it's a journey, learning who you are, where you came from, where your ancestors came from, and if you can find it out, some of your medical history from your family. Did you have alcoholism, heart problems, cancer? And I found out that my birth mother left high school to take care of my grandmother who was dying of cancer. And at 19, when my grandmother died, my birth mother, Helen Pierce, went back to school and graduated, and then went to nursing school and became an LPN. My chart talks about the problems my mother had, and that it was soon because she was an older woman, born 1919, was 30 when she had my brother Bob, and 34, almost 35 when she had me. Most of the time, birth mothers, not always, are teenagers who find themselves in the family way. And at that time, they were sent away to have their children and then to have the children stripped from them. Some of them wanted to give them up, some of them weren't given a choice. And it was hidden because it was a big shame, especially if you're a Catholic, because how dare you? But I talk about that, and then I talk about meeting my brother for the first time, and eventually him coming to live with us. And in my book, I also include pictures of my family and myself as I was growing up, and with my husband and my children when they were younger, and with my brother. And I hope that people will be interested enough to go to Amazon.com, search for Anne V. Brady, and tell them that, and you'll, if you search for that on Amazon.com, you'll find my book, A New Beginning, the story of my adoption, life, and service. And you will be able to buy several versions of the book. The ebook is $2.99. There's a paperback version for $15.99. For $16.99, you can get the hardcover version. I have another hardcover version where the pictures are actually in color and black and white. The cheaper version, they're all black and white. In the ebook and the paperback and the $31 version of A New Beginning, the story of my adoption, life, and service, The pictures are in black and white and in color. I also give information and advice to adoptees. I've also given the regulations or rules from the state, from the different 50 states and Washington, D.C., on what age you have to be to search, what hurdles you meet, whether they'll give you your information, whether they'll give you identifying information or non identifying information, whether you have to go to court to get your information. All this is available, and I give a reference to the Law Center for Adoptees and their address, email address, and website. And you can find that information there for more information and for more updated information, because state legislatures can change the rules for releasing information or being able to find out whether you can get your original birth certificate at a whim. Some that are not used to be open and they didn't care, now they're closed. And there's some have certain years you can search because they want to make sure that your birth parents are dead, so you can't find them even if you find them. And I just hope people will buy my book and read it. It's for everyone from 13 and up. And thank you for listening to my little talk here. And I wish everybody have a happy Father's Day and a great weekend. Enjoy.